Hello there, trailblazers and dungeon crawlers alike. Now, normally in videos like this, someone would explain to you what Star Rail or D&D is. However, that's not why I'm here. Now, of course, I'm here to promote my eventual campaign going up on this channel. I'm also here to maybe give inspiration to people watching this to make something like this, to have fun with their own friends. Now, this little presentation will have a few chapters to help divide up the content. So if you want to skip ahead if you get the gist, I'll have set up timestamps to do so. Now, first on this presentation will be character building. So, due to there being a vast number of races present in the world of Star Rail, I chose to forego that system in D&D and made it so your race choice is based on the character paths. This way, players can have more freedom on their character design, have custom stat bonuses that will benefit them more, and also helps in figuring out their homebrew kits more. Now, of course, doing this will remove all of the other bonuses for picking a race, so I've decided each player can choose a spell and a race passive that best suits their character. Additionally, due to how many factions there are, unique backgrounds can also be chosen from those to give even more variety for character building. Now, this section is going to take more time due to how many mechanics I am porting from Star Rails and D&D, which, fun fact, is actually one of the main reasons why I thought of doing this in the first place. To start off with, I'll start with two new mechanics that I created to help intertwine these two combat systems together. The first being a new mana system, which replaces the original spell slot mechanic. This is actually a recent addition to this. However, due to something that will be explained later, I felt it necessary to add. Simply put, all your spell slots will be converted into a cumulative mana count. It may sound complex, but I tried my best to make it simple. So with this system, a first level spell slot is equal to a single mana, going up by 1 for each level. So max mana will also equal how many total spell slots you have. My example here being a 3rd level wizard, along with the math on how to figure out the max mana for that. Now with that, people who are knowledgeable about D&D may ask how it's fair for a wizard to cast 4 second level spells at level 3 through that method, in which I will answer about my second new mechanic called Spell Sickness. Long story short, cast the same spell a bunch, get debuffs. This way, you don't have a person continuously casting Fireball with the new mana system. Now enough of my mechanics, and onto the ones important from Star Rail. To start, we have the skill, which costs an action to perform. Think of it like a spell, but instead of costing mana, it'll cost a skill point. These will probably be the most used option in combat for most players, especially ones without easy access to spells like fighters. When making a skill, think of it like making a custom spell. Just be mindful of its strength, since your only limit will be, once again, skill points. Next, we have ultimates, which will serve almost like a legendary action for a player due to its innate nature of being able to use at almost any time. The drawback being it costs a varied number of energy to actually use. The numbers I personally used for energy generation are 2 on skill use, 1 in basic attack use, 1 when being hit, and 1 when that person kills an enemy. Balancing an ultimate is quite difficult, and I'd say it is what will probably take the most time when making a character. For each character, talents serve as what will really make you different from the crowd in combat. They can range from having a summon to passive buffs to cause and effect abilities like triggering attack when someone else hits something. A good way to design a kit is to make a talent and base the rest of your stuff off of that. Now, onto one of the more drastic changes from the D&D system. Normally, when dealing damage, there's a large list of damage types you may do, from thunder to pierce to acid. In Star Rail, however, there's only 7 types, and each character only deals damage of one type. Through this system, each time you deal damage, it won't be a type from D&D, but of one of the 7 of your choice. This even includes things like spells, so your fireball could be changed to something like ice damage. There are some exceptions that I've chosen, however, such as the spell Chromatic Orb or the Sorcerer Metamagic, that allows you to change its damage type. In those cases, simply change the damage type to 1 in Star Rail. Finally, we have Weaknesses and Break. I personally dumbed down this mechanic quite a lot since most of my players haven't played the actual game, and the system is fairly complex. Simply put, each enemy has a weakness. Deal damage of that type to the enemy, deal more damage. I chose to have the benefit of having a weakness being hit to adding proficiency to the damage roll. Doing that a set number of times to an enemy then also causes a weakness break, dealing even more damage, and inflicting a debuff associated with the damage type. I will personally not go over that list of debuffs for the sake of time, but for most of them I made them cause a percent of the damage again on the enemy's turn, or do that and cause additional effects. Next, onto the mechanic I have probably had to explain the most times to my players that haven't played the original game. Now, of course, skill points are used to cast skills. To get them, though, there's a few methods I've chosen, the easiest ones being a weapon attack or a cantrip. For the sake of balancing, though, I've limited the gaining of skill points per person to 1 per turn due to the existence of extra attack, cantrips that only take a bonus action, or sorcerers that have quicken spell. More complex usages of skill points are by using the new mana system explained before. Casting a spell using a skill point to reduce its cost by 1, this affecting certain cantrips if they cost an action to use, by instead making it use a bonus action. Then, if you want to gain a skill point by using a spell, increase its mana cost by 50%. Originally, this mechanic wasn't in place, but I felt that spellcasters would be undervalued without this system, hence why I made the mana system to help make spellcasters more flush with the skill point mechanic. And now, what is personally the biggest part of D&D, the story. Its star rail, its story is kind of back and forth. Now, in the game, that works perfectly fine since it allows some assets and characters to be reused while the next planet is being developed. However, I do not have that exact luxury since I'd personally like to try to stay away from backtracking to previous planets for the sake of variety. So, this is how I'll be doing it. In D&D, for those unaware, it is possible to find modules of pre-made campaigns, stories, or dungeons that can be used by anyone. I will be turning the main planets into modules to use almost like main quests for my players. Then after that, I'll let them choose between a few select custom planets made by myself to serve like side quests. These could just be something like fetch quests, small dungeons, or something like that. Just something to serve as a nice breather from roleplay before going back into it. Now, with the mention of modules, some of you may ask if there may be characters from the game in the campaign. The answer to that is sort of. For major characters, I will be personally redesigning them for the sake of my own creative integrity. And since I'd like to have a consistent story, and since I am only one person with this voice, I will be cutting out characters I don't view as necessary to have. Additionally, based on how things go with my players, it is entirely possible that major characters will die. I am not held back by the sellable character fallacy, so you have been warned. And now, finally, we have the section where I will show for my own campaign. So, I will be posting each recorded session on Wednesday at 12 p.m. PST, just like this video. However, due to the nature of scheduling D&D sessions, expect days with no videos posted. Each recording will hopefully be posted in the podcast section of my channel on YouTube, and if YouTube decides to give me enough people and there's enough demand, I may figure out how to put it on other platforms. As of now, 2 Session Zeros have been recorded. Those are of my players' characters Antonakis and Oranos. I also have 2 other players whose Session Zeros would be posted when I have those finished as well. I will try my best to finish everything soon so I can get everything underway. With that, though, that is the end of the presentation. If you have any questions about things I may have missed due to me wanting to keep this nice and short, or you just want to say how you're excited to see the session, just comment down below. It really helps to get YouTube to show this to more people. And I hate to be that guy, but if you'd like to not just see videos about this, hit the subscribe button. I post videos basically weekly. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day wherever you are.